welcome back to MAIN-iac Science Labs. I'm Mr. Andy from the St. Johns County Public Library System, Youth Services Librarian, and we're going to have some fun with food today. Yes, you can have all kinds of scientific fun with food. Today we're going to make two things. We're going to make butter, and we're going to make ice cream. Yeah, who doesn't like ice cream? I mean, really, ice cream's pretty awesome. So there was a list of supplies that you're going to need on the Facebook page and on the library website. Hopefully you've gathered them with you. If you haven't, it's okay. You can gather them later, watch it again, and do the experiment at that time. But if you have them ready now, we can go ahead and get started. So just to go back over things, we're going to need a ziplock sandwich bag, one that locks really well because we don't want to make a mess. We're going to need some dairy products. We're going to need heavy whipping cream. And we're going to need half and half. And what else do we need? We need some sugar. We need some salt. We need some ice. Oh, I left my ice in the freezer. It's actually a good place for it to be because it keeps it cold that way. I'll go grab that in just a second. What else do we need? Oh, the most important thing when we get to making ice cream, you're gonna need gloves because we're gonna be working with freezing temperatures. And boy howdy, if you don't have gloves, you're gonna wish you did. We're also gonna need a couple measuring cups and spoons and things. A nice little container with a super tight snap lid. Make sure it's really good and tight because otherwise you can make a huge mess. But it's kind of fun to make a mess, but not that kind of a mess. What else do we need? A towel for cleaning up said mess, should you happen to make one. In fact, for my tablecloth today, I'm actually using a bath towel because we're gonna drip a bit of water, and if you're not careful with your seals, you could spill a little bit of milk or cream at the same time. So I'm gonna go, no, let's go ahead and get started with the butter part. This is the really easy one. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna make butter by churning it, kind of like they did back in the old days. But we're gonna do it in a plastic cup. So I have my heavy whipping cream here, and I think we're gonna go with a half of a cup of heavy whipping cream. And it's really simple. You don't have to do much. You just measure it out very carefully. Try not to spill. Pour it into your sealed container. Carefully, trying not to spill. I've got a little bucket down here for my used items because they're very messy. I don't want to make a mess. Put your lid on good and tight. Make sure it's tight. You tip upside down, does it spill? No? Good. That's a good start. Now, the next test is when you shake it. Does it spill when you shake? The last container I used spilled heavy whipping cream everywhere. It made a huge mess in the kitchen. So I practiced, and I'm glad I did, because now I know how to not make that big mess. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to start shaking. And I'm going to start a timer here to see how long this takes, because this is science and we do have to measure things, right? So let's start my stopwatch, and we're going to start shaking. So when you're shaking, you can hear a liquid in there. Shake it up, sloshing around, kind of like what they did in the olden days. They used to put milk into an urn, or they called it a churn, because it was an urn that you churned, and there was a stick in there. And they would pump the stick up and down and all around, and they would whip that milk into butter, which is exactly what we're doing here, just without the stick. We're just using a sealed container, and we're shaking it vigorously. Now you're gonna know when you're getting to butter stage from your heavy whipping cream, because that sloshing sound you're hearing right now, it's gonna stop. And when that happens, that means you are getting close to butter. At the very least, I'm getting close to good cream. We're coming up on 60 seconds now. 7, 58, 59, 60. It's still sloshing. We can hear it. Now, this is fun, interesting, entertaining, and good exercise all at the same time. That's why I keep switching arms, because one arm gets tired after a minute. How are your arms feeling? Are you shaking it up real good right now? I can hear the sloshing still, but it's not quite as noisy. Oh, it's starting to feel a little thicker. Oh, I think we might even be getting close to butter time. Okay, I'm switching arms. It's 1 minute and 30 seconds down. Oh, even less sloshing. Let's get to 2 minutes and we'll take a look and see what we have. Let's see if I can get out of my chair without knocking things over. It's still sloshing, but not as much. All right, coming up on 2 minutes. I'm going to come up close to the camera and show you what the inside of my container looks like. Here it is, opening it up very carefully so as not to spill. Still looks like cream, but it's not sloshing as much, which means it's starting to thicken. So let's keep going. Oh, I made a mess. That's why we have napkins. So let's keep on sloshing. Getting your good workout for the day, burning off some calories so you can enjoy eating that butter, because we're definitely going to taste it when we're done. And then when we're done with the butter, then we're going to make ice cream. I'm feeling milk on my face. That means my seal is not as tight as it should be. So be extra careful and double check things, and if you're not too sure about it, use your napkin to shake. But I think we're doing okay now. I think we got it good. I think there's just a little drop that got out. So now while we're shaking, I did happen to have a plate with a piece of bread on it and a knife. All right, we're coming up on 3 minutes now. It's still sloshing. Oops, I got it on the painting on the wall. Science is fun. Still sloshing, but not as much. Yeah, we're definitely getting thicker now. I think about 4 minutes might do it. Oh, I hardly hear any sloshing at all now. How's yours doing? Are you getting tired of shaking yet? Yeah, this is why we invent machines, so that we don't have to do this hard work. Oh, the sloshing is almost completely gone. That's pretty cool. Let me get a little closer so you can hear what it sounds like. Where'd all that sloshing go? Oh, should we look at it? About 4 minutes of shaking. Oh, it's still not quite there, but boy, it tastes good. Let's get that lid back on, clean up any spill we made, because of course there's always a spill, and get back to work. Like I said, man was smart and realized this is a lot of work. So we invented machines to do this for us. Electric mixers, blenders, those little silver bullet mini blender zoom thingies that can make single servings in. I think that's what they're called. But we're getting real close there. Let's do the two-handed shake. Maybe that works better. Whew, I'm working up a sweat getting this butter. Sometimes it might just be easier to go to the store and buy it, right? But back in the old days, you couldn't do that. You had to make it yourself. And that's exactly what we're doing right now, in real time. Boy, that ice cream's going to taste so much better when I'm done with this. Let's see where we're at now. Wow, this is This is hard work. How about we pour a little off? Maybe we need more space to shake. Because it's frothed itself up so much, it's not really shaking as hard. I theorize that's what we need to do. So let's keep going. Wipe off the edges because you don't want to sling heavy whipping cream all around. Back at it. Okay, yeah, see now it's sloshing again. I think we had the container so full, maybe it was a little too small, that it had frothed itself up, but it didn't have a whole lot of room to move. You definitely have to have that space to move it around. Bacon butter, live on the internet. Ooh, somebody just posted a message. Let's see what they said. Next time, pre-make it to save time. Yeah, but it takes all the fun out of it, doesn't it? You know what? I actually did some. Still shaking. Are you shaking? Okay. You know what? You're right. For some reason, this batch took a lot longer than I thought it would. So let's go to the one that I pre-made earlier. And you can see what it turns into. Oh, look at that. That is a cup full of butter. Check it out. And that was made by doing what I just did, breaking a sweat. So with my little knife, look how thick it is. Can you see that? So thick and creamy. There's the camera lens. That's what it turns into when you're done. And if you're a foodie, you can add flavoring like seasoning herbs and salt and maybe some crushed garlic. Ooh, that'd be so tasty. So then you can smear it on your bread and have yourself a tasty little snack. And you work so hard to get it, makes it taste that much better. Honestly and truly. All right, let's get on with it and start making that ice cream. Now, sure, you can go to the store and you can buy ice cream. Sure, you can buy an ice cream machine and it'll make it for you, and that's really awesome. But you can do it yourself with just a couple simple items. So, the first thing you need to do is put away your snack. And to have our working space, is get your little Ziploc baggie. And your half and half. You could probably use heavy whipping cream, but I've not tested that one out yet, so I can't tell you exactly how it's going to turn out. But it could work. Maybe you should try it yourself and let me know how it goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a half cup of heavy whipping cream, half and half, and we're going to pour it into our little measuring cup. Very careful here because it's easy to spill. And dairy is super messy when you spill it, so you want to be extra careful. A kitchen counter is probably the best place to do this kind of experiment. So let's put that away in our freezer bag. Now we're going to pour that into our Ziploc bag, trying really hard not to make a mess. This is my scientific way of doing it. Do it sideways. And then you can pour, set the bag down. I didn't spill a single drop. Beautiful. Now we need a little sugar, because ice cream should be kind of sweet, right? Works in my book. So, you take your tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of sugar should do. Scoop it up. Put it in there. You can add a little more, a little less if you're concerned about the sugar. I went for the full tablespoon. Get that out of the way. Now, if you're making vanilla ice cream, you should add about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. But I'm going to try something different today. And you know, with science, it's always dangerous to mess with a recipe, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to put a tiny little bit of blueberry jam in mine, so I can have blueberry flavored ice cream. Plus, it'll make it a little purple, which is kind of cool. Now, you don't need a lot. Oops, I spilled. You don't need a lot because we're making a very small amount of ice cream. Too much can really mess with the chemistry. And we don't want to do that. So what you do is you get all that in there, you seal up your bag, try to squeeze as much of the air out as you can. Not super important. And now you want to squish it up a little so make sure everything mixes. Since I put purple in there, you want to be able to see that purple mix around some. That'll get mixed up really good though when we get to the work. Now what I'm going to do, just to be extra careful, is put that inside another Ziploc bag. That way, we don't have to be quite so concerned about spilling. So now we have a double bag thing of ice cream. Not ice cream, yes, it's going to be ice cream. A double bag concoction of half and half sugar and your flavoring. And then what we're going to do is put that into a container. A gallon-sized Ziploc bag works really well. Unfortunately, I broke my last one making my last batch of ice cream. So I'm switching to a container with a sealed lid. I have this fashionable pink container here. And it's filled with 4 cups of ice. Now, to that 4 cups of ice, we need to add a 1/2 cup of salt. So let me get my little measuring cup out here. And we're going to measure out a 1/2 cup of salt. This is where the science comes in, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. So let's go ahead and get our salt. Pour it on in there. Ooh, I think I might have just barely a 1/2 cup. Time to put salt on the shopping list. All right, so you pour that into your ice. Give it a good mix, and then drop your 1/2 baggie into there. Now, you want to be extra careful. If you're using a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, make sure that gallon-sized Ziploc bag is well sealed. Otherwise, when you're shaking it up, stuff's going to go everywhere. Make sure that your container, if you're using a lidded container, is extra tightly sealed, because again, if you're not careful, it's going to go everywhere. So let's go ahead and get started. What you need to do is shake it up. Now this part's a little noisy, and I apologize in advance for that, but I'll try to stop shaking when I talk to you. Now what you may notice is this container is going to start getting really cold. My hands are getting cold already. So I'm going to put on those gloves. And I'll give you a little science lesson while we're shaking, kind of pass the time. Because we are doing this in real time together to show that it actually can be done. So, shaking, shaking, shaking. So what we want to know is what's actually happening here. Well, I'll tell you. Salt mixed with ice causes the ice to melt and lowers its freezing point. So, who out there can tell me what temperature water freezes at? That's easy, right? 32 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to mix that up a little. Here we go. You can see the cold sweat. Oh, there's even frost on the bottom of the bowl. It's doing the job. So, a 10% solution of salt freezes at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes. A 20% salt solution freezes at 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So if water by itself freezes at 32 degrees, but a 20% salt solution freezes at 2 degrees, that's a lot colder water, isn't it? So, by making it that cold, you start to freeze the milk, or the half and half. By adding the salt to the ice, we create a freezing point depression. That's our scientific term. Look at that, all that frost on the outside of this thing. This bowl is freezing right now. It's gonna hurt if I put my fingers in there, so I'm not gonna do that. So, by lowering dramatically the freezing point of the contents of the bag, we end up freezing the milk, turning it into ice cream. So take a look and see what we have. Let's see what it's doing. Yeah, you're right. Good thing I'm wearing gloves. This thing is cold. Did it do the job? No? I'll bring it over here because it's drippy. It's a little thicker, but it's not quite frozen yet. I think just a few more minutes and it'll be good to go. You can see our water, ice, and salt solution is really soupy in there. Now, if you're looking at your bag and the stuff inside is turning white, it's not because you've broken your ice cream bag. It means the salt and the water are mixing together. And it kind of turns into a sort of white slushiness. Get my gloves back on. So let's get back to shaking. Are we good and sealed? Good and sealed. Keep on going. Now's a good time to think about what toppings you're going to use on your ice cream. Whipped cream, chocolate syrup, M&Ms. There's that frost. Goodness. What else can we put on ice cream? Oh, fresh blueberries, yummy. Even pineapple chunks are yummy. I kind of draw the line at bananas. It's kind of weird. See that ice? All right, I'm going to check it again, see what we do. See what we have. Do we have ice cream yet? It's getting there, really close. We're almost there. Lemons. Interesting. I've had lemon ice, but I've never had lemon ice cream. That could be pretty good. Might have to try it. Strawberries are awesome, definitely. My actual absolute all-time favorite homemade ice cream is smashing up those little round mint candies. Crush them up real good. Now, for those of you who can't stand waiting for the finish, you can watch it later and just fast forward to the end. But by doing it this way, it kind of shows that you have to have a little patience with these things. Nothing ever happens as quick as it does on TV. Let's see. Look, I have frost on my gloves. Craziness. Now another thing to do, when you test your bag, be very careful because the outside's covered in salt. So unless you like salty ice cream, you want to be extra careful. Okay, it's not frozen yet, but it's getting really close. Never give up. Ready to go. Making a mess and having a great time. This is where I'm glad I had a towel on the table because this thing is dripping wet because the frost is melting when I stop shaking. As soon as you start shaking, frost's right back up again. I've heard of red bean ice cream. I've had that before. It's a very interesting flavor, but I like it. You can have a little dance party while you're shaking. Ice cream making dance party. We're back. My internet's been going up and down all day today. It's very challenging. Let's check again. Are we getting there? We have ice cream. It happened. It worked. Okay, let's go back to the table so you can see. So, this is where you want to be super, super careful because the outside of your bag is covered in salt water. And salt, you might want a little bit of salt in your ice cream, but not a lot. So, actually turn it to ice cream. Here comes the bag. Oh, it melted already. Dang, little gee golly. Okay, well I'm just going to show you that it's melty ice cream, but it really does work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it inside out while I dump it out of the bag to try to get as little salt water into my bowl as possible. So you can kind of see it. There we go. As we all know here in Florida, ice cream doesn't last long, but we actually did make ice cream. Ooh, it's really good with the blueberries. So give it a try. Expect to have a lot of patience. Maybe you have a friend to help you. You can take turns shaking. That is so good. So, to sum it up, all you need, some half and half, some flavoring, some ice, some salt, some sealed containers, and a lot of desire to shake things for a really long time. About 10 minutes. It's about how long it took. And then you just put it in a bowl and eat it up. Because what's happening is the salt mixing with the ice is causing the ice to melt and lower its freezing point. Water normally freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see in here, that water is not frozen, but it's really cold. It is well below 32 degrees. A 10% salt solution freezes at 20 degrees, and a 20% salt solution freezes at 2 degrees. So the more salt you add to it, the colder the water will get before it freezes. But the milk, protected inside that bag, does freeze, which is really cool. So we're adding salt to ice, creating a freezing point depression, which lowers the freezing point of the contents of the bag, making the milk freeze into ice cream. What a great time for a snack. Well, that's been fun with food. We'll do this again soon. Part 2 is coming up, and I promise you, those experiments won't take nearly as long. Hope you guys had some fun today. Hope you learned a few things, and we will connect with you very soon.